Wonder weapons, the backbone of the entirety of COD Zombies as a whole. We've seen a ton throughout almost 2 decades, so let's go through all of them. I'm Ornery, and today we're taking a look at the entire history of wonder weapons in Call of Duty Zombies. We'll be looking at Treyarch only, which means we'll be starting at World at War, then moving through Black Ops 1 through 4, and ending with Cold War. Also, no specialist or grenades, this is strictly weapons you hold in your hands and take up a weapon slot. But go ahead and comment your favorite wonder weapon as we get started. The Raygun is probably the most iconic wonder weapon in all of Zombies, and that's probably because it's also the first. Being a major focal point in pop culture, it was quickly the biggest flex you could have on anyone in your lobby. The first thing you pulled this thing on Noct was probably the best day of your life. Anyways, it's been available on pretty much every Treyarch map and would later get several different versions, which we'll talk about later in this video. Obviously, the Raygun is great, but its viability and usefulness will vary from game to game. Talking about which one is the best could be a video of its own, but I'll sum it up with Black Ops 3 Raygun is a little bit underwhelming, while the Cold War Raygun is light years ahead of all of the other ones. You can upgrade the Raygun through a Pack-a-Punch with no type of questline or Easter egg completion necessary. Overall, a reliable and easy gun to use, and sometimes more than that depending on what game you're playing. It wouldn't be until 2 maps later where we got the Wonder Waff on Shino Numa. It would later return a handful of maps such as Deriz and the Giant and a couple of remakes, and it was also given to you as a power-up for killing George on Call of the Dead, which was kind of cool. The Wonder Waff had unlimited damage. It can chain a maximum of 10 zombie kills at once, which is a pretty big deal at the time, especially on a map like Shino Numa, which only had like 18 zombies spawn in on later rounds. High rounding can now become as high as you were willing to wait. Also, a similar story here is the Raygun, where you could Pack-a-Punch it with no questline required. That being said, the Pack-a-Punch only gave it more ammo, a larger magazine, and a faster reload. And now we're at Black Ops 1, where we had one of 2 launch maps, the first being Kino, which brought us the Thundergun. I think most people agree that the Thundergun immediately gives you no excuse for going down, since it is a true get-out-of-jail-free card no matter the circumstances. Blasting a wave in front of you that will immediately clear a path to safety is something pretty much no other gun on this list can do. The Thundergun is on Kino, Ascension, Black Ops Noct, Tagged or Toten, and Revelations. If this map were on more maps with Easter eggs, I bet a lot more people would try them out, since it just gives you that security knowing you're one pull the trigger away from complete safety. Even when the Thundergun doesn't get kills, it still gets zombies away from you, which is a massive help. Just like the previous 2, you can upgrade it simply by Pack-a-Punching as well. A contender for one of the worst guns on this list comes alongside the map 5. Just like the rest of these so far, all you had to do was get lucky with the box and the Winter's Howl was yours. I'll give it some props in that it was the first wonder weapon that had some type of like elemental effect, which was freezing, that slowed the zombies down. And I guess the Wonder Waff kind of had electricity, but whatever. But I swear this gun is completely useless after the first 20 rounds. I do think it was a fun idea, but was in desperate need for a buff because there was just no reason to use this thing. It would also be available on Black Ops 1 Verrucht and Classified, no other map. I also think it's worth mentioning that on Classified, the Winter's Howl is a little bit better than the Black Ops 1 Winter's Howl, but not by much. Now we're at back-to-back absolute trash can guns. On Call of the Dead, we got 2 new wonder weapons, and we'll go ahead and talk about the VR-11 first. The semi-automatic wonder weapon that turns zombies into humans who then run into the nearest body of water and die. Although very funny, it is yet another awful wonder weapon. I will say this has like a brief monkey bomb effect in that when that human is running towards the water, some zombies will follow them if they're not closer to you. So that's a nice plus. Anyways, it would be a lot better if it held more than 12 shots in total and only 24 when Pack-a-Punch. That means a single Pack-a-Punch VR-11 can get a total of 24 kills, which is assuming you don't miss a single shot. However, there are some other cool effects that are useful. First of which is making George disappear for an entire round if you shoot him with the upgraded one, which is nice if you just want to break for a single round. You can also shoot a zombie 3 times with a Pack-a-Punch VR-11. It will cause an explosion to kill nearby zombies, so I guess I kind of lied about the 24 kills max earlier. However, the best feature about the VR-11 is that when you're playing with friends, if you shoot one of your teammates, it gives them a zombie blood-like power and also an insta-kill. This is by far the best utility behind the VR-11, and it's not even close. Even then, I think I would only use this if I was playing with a full team of 4, because with 2 people, I still don't think it's all that useful. But there's no denying that if you're playing solo, this thing is actually useless aside from completing the Easter egg. Here's another wonder weapon that gets a decent amount of hate, however, I actually really like it. The Scavenger was also on Call of the Dead and was basically an explosive bolt crossbow on steroids. The projectile explosion bolt had a massive damage radius that one-shot every zombie within that radius until somewhere in like the 30s or 40s. To me, that's pretty dang good, because who's making it past those rounds in Call of the Dead in the first place? But after that round damage fall off, the thing is actually pretty worthless, and you'll just start burning through ammo before you can even get a single kill. The Pack-a-Punch does give it a thermal sight, which is pretty useful because the map is kind of like foggy and the visibility isn't exactly the greatest. But the scavenger only being on Call of the Dead is criminal. Seriously, bring this gun back in at least one other zombies map. The 3179 JGB 215, or what most people would just call the baby gun, is a wonder weapon exclusive to Shangri-La. Although one of my least favorite maps in all of zombies, the wonder weapon is easily a highlight of the map. Turning any horde of zombies into small 1 foot tall baby zombies that you can just punt like soccer balls is one of the most hilarious concepts we've ever seen. And that concept is complemented well with how good the gun is. Aside from being able to trample the zombies, any damage dealt with any gun or explosive will automatically be a one-shot as long as they're in this state. Meaning you could have an unupgraded starter pistol and still be able to one-shot these zombies on any round. There is some risk with the trampling meta because they can actually still hit you, but I think it takes like 15 or even 20 hits to go down even with Jug. But there have been times where you just won't kill them or they'll all hit you at once, resulting in an insta-down, which you couldn't really do anything about. I think this was fixed in Black Ops 3, but regardless, one of the best wonder weapons in all of zombies. To round off Black Ops 1, we have the wave gun exclusively to Moon. I'll be one of the more versatile and also overpowered wonder weapons on this list. The wave gun had two different variations. The base wave gun shoots a shockwave that stops all zombies affected dead in their tracks as they inflate until they explode. Then the alternate akimbo version is an infinite one-shot kill forever that also had a very considerate ammo pool. I think this gun didn't allow for power-ups to drop, so the more you use it, the more unlikely a max ammo would drop, so that kind of sucked and really brings it down. But as far as what it was, this was one of the best wonder weapons and another personal favorite of mine. Wish it could also make a comeback on literally any other zombie map. One of the most controversial zombies maps of all time debuted the objectively worst gun on this entire list. And I was also really debating on putting it on this list because technically it takes up a buildable slot and not a primary slot, but we're going to talk about it anyways. The jet gun was the first ever buildable wonder weapon that would put you on a scavenger hunt across the largest zombies map that was simply not worth it in the slightest. In theory, you could make this thing last forever if you're extremely disciplined with your trigger finger, but if you hold the trigger for longer than 6 seconds, this thing would immediately break and you have to start the scavenger hunt all over again. Also, when the jet gun breaks, it will slightly damage the player holding it, adding even more insult to this awful gun. Had Transit literally any other wonder weapon than this, I would probably more likely to play it, but the jet gun makes this map even more unbearable. After the jet gun, we got the Soliquifier, which is on another controversial map being Die Rise. The Soliquifier was another buildable wonder weapon, only this time it was very easy and quick to build and was also amazing. When I say it's easy to build, I mean at round 2 you'll have this in your hand if you play your cards right. The launch Soliquifier was so broken they actually had to nerf it. However, if you shot this symbol with an entire magazine of the Soliquifier, it got reverted to its pre-patch brokenness. Since it had no pack-a-punch or upgrade support, this was pretty much your pack-a-punch for the Soliquifier. The gun was pretty simple in that you just needed to shoot the ground and zombies would slip and eventually die on the right round. You could also slide on the affected area as well for some added flair. Definitely a necessity for Die Rise until you accidentally slid off the map. Onto the Blundergat, which would make its debut on Mob of the Dead and then return on Blood of the Dead. The Blundergat was the first shotgun-like wonder weapon we would ever get. Available in the mystery box, you had a few different options as far as how to upgrade it. You could pack-a-punch it outright, upgrade it with the Acid Gat kit, or the best option was the Magma Gat upgrade on Blood of the Dead. However you decided to upgrade it, no matter what, it was still a solid wonder weapon across the board. The Acid and Magma Gat would give it alternate ammo types that exploded shortly after sticking to its surface and even would give it a 3-round burst as well, which made this thing an awesome wonder weapon on an awesome map. Possibly the most unique wonder weapon on this list, the Paralyzer was available in the mystery box on Buried and had some pretty wild properties going on. For starters, it had unlimited ammo and unlike the jet gun, wouldn't break if you overheated it. On top of that, it allowed you to levitate when aimed at the ground. Attacking zombies, it also slowed them down. It can be pack-a-punch with no upgrade crest necessary. I think the pack-a-punch didn't change any value about the gun aside from the overheat, but I could be wrong about that. However, the stars really aligned for this to be on the only map with Vulture's aid because if you got the ammo drops, it cools your overheat faster, making high rounds super easy with this. One of the most beloved wonder weapons on this list, the Raygun Mark II debuted alongside the Paralyzer on Buried. It was much different than the standard Raygun for several reasons. Most noticeable was the 3-round burst. It also dealt way less splash damage and dealt insane headshot damage as well. I think this thing actually had something like a 25 times headshot multiplier that also penetrated, so you could kill several zombies with one burst. Once Buried came out, it became available on all Black Ops 2 maps and their respected remasters. Only available through the box, I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually the rarest gun to get in the box with less than like a 5% chance of getting one, I'm pretty sure. That meant when you finally got your hands on one, it was a pretty big deal. In Black Ops 4, to get 4 different variants to choose from the map Alpha and Omega. These were fun ideas, things like a charge shot, a scatter shot, a laser, and a kimbo. These were very annoying to build on one of the most forgettable zombies maps at that. That being said, I'll stick to my traditional Raygun Mark II. I'm not going to break down each staff, but these each had their own build quests, then upgrade quests, and they were all pretty dang good in their own right. I'm not too crazy into the high round tryhardness, not that there's anything wrong with that, so someone is probably going to tell me that I'm an absolute noob for liking the fire staff the most. It's the one I've made the most times and enjoy using, and it's also like really easy, so I think it really just comes down to preference. This is the first of 4 elemental wonder weapons, which we'll see later in this video. The staffs are one of the most iconic wonder weapons of all time and are just a ton of fun to use regardless of which type you're using. The pretty fat ammo pool you can keep going for a while. Also, being able to store them at any given moment to switch out for another one that you've already built is a really nifty feature too. On to Black Ops 3, where we have the Apothec Servant. Another contender for one of the best wonder weapons of all time. It kind of works the same way as the Thundergun does, in that you pull the trigger once, and then you don't have to worry about being killed for quite some time. Basically, shooting an amped up Gersh device, the first time you crafted the Apothec Servant, you were unstoppable. Now, there are a couple of downsides, the first of which is crafting this thing on Shadows of Evil was a major pain. That's because getting 2 of the 3 parts is 100% RNG based. The tentacle can be found through harvesting the highest tier pods and only have a chance of finding that. However, it was a decently high chance. But the Xenomatter, on the other hand, can be found after killing a parasite or meatball on round 12 or later. This is where things get super tedious and annoying. I can tell you right now, I've had multiple games on Shadows where I have absolutely no way of building the Apothec Servant any sooner than round 25 because of this element. Whether you don't see it on the ground or it's just like RNG against you, it's super annoying. But I guess that's part of the work you put in for such an awesome wonder weapon. On top of that, it can be upgraded on Revelation, so adding more ammo to an already amazing gun certainly helps its cause as well. The Wrath of the Ancients, also simply known as the Bows, is one of the easier wonder weapons to unlock. I say unlock because you don't even build this, you just kinda unveil it, if you will. These were almost identical to the Origin staff because you can do a quest line to not only get different variation, but then continue that on quest to upgrade it. Pretty much dealer's choice here. You have the Void, Fire, Wolf, and Storm Bows, which are all just a ton of fun to use. They also come with like 75 arrows, and each shot is pretty much another get out of jail free card, whichever one you're using. Another great variety of options to another amazing map. The KT-4 is one of the most overshadowed wonder weapons on one of the most overshadowed maps in all of zombies. Kinda similar to the Solidifier in some ways, it took you on a somewhat tedious task of building it and an even more tedious one of upgrading. It utilizes a charge system that obviously becomes more stronger the more ammo you use for it, which is really effective against the annoying thrashers. It also has key elements in the seed growing process that I won't get into, but is very important. I have no idea why more people don't show this gun love because it's really good and definitely is forgotten. If I had one guess, it's that it's on Zetsubo, which again, don't know why people ignore this awesome map. The Mark III is another great option on a very difficult map. Unlike a lot of other wonder weapons in Black Ops 3, this is one where all you need to do is get lucky in the mystery box. You can use these guns without the portal effect, with different effects with each gun, which is kind of neat, but you're definitely going to be using the portal for the majority of the time you're using this. I will say these portals are way less effective than an Apothec Servant or a Gersh device, but you're still going to find a lot of value with this. On to Black Ops 4, where we had Voyage of Despair, which gives you the Kraken wonder weapon. I didn't play too much of Voyage whatsoever, so I don't really have too much to say about this, but the Kraken was an explosive wonder weapon that also had a knockback effect on zombies. You can do an Easter egg to get it, or you can get it from the box, so that's also cool. Just like the stabs, you can do 4 different elemental variants by doing some building. These change its properties pretty dramatically and are pretty decent on lower rounds. As I said, I didn't play too much Void, so I don't have a lot of experience with this one. Death of Orion was a buildable wonder weapon on 9, and it was a pretty rewarding build quest. Once you got your hands on it, it acted very similar to the Wonder Waff, but with a lot more ammo. Unlike the Wonder Waff, it creates this centralized zombie of death where you land a charge shot that kills all the zombies around it, so in my opinion, it's a better Wonder Waff for that reason alone. Also, Pack-a-Punch, it gets even stronger and more ammo, which is a nice touch. On Dead of the Night, you could land Alistair's Folly from the mystery box or from a small Easter egg quest. It was honestly not anything special before you upgrade it, which actually saw it go through 2 separate phases when you upgraded. The next tier was the Chaos Theory, and then after that, it was the Alistair's Annihilator. This variant was leaps and bounds better than the base one, and that's because it now had a crazy AoE effect that could section off entire areas and doorways where zombies couldn't pass. Once again, giving you mild Solidifier vibes with this one. Also, each player could have one of these, which you don't see too often, so that was a really nice touch as well. The Savage Impaler was also on Dead of the Night through some small tasks. Now, I don't think the Impaler is bad by any means, but it certainly doesn't feel like a wonder weapon at all. It kind of feels like the Marshals in Black Ops 3, sort of like an exclusive exclusive weapon that feels different than the others without being a wonder weapon, only this one is a wonder weapon. Basically an automatic crossbow that deals crazy headshot damage and also has a decent amount of ammo, but I don't think it's all that good. I don't know, maybe I'm using it wrong or missing something here, but it's just not my thing. However, it does fit the Dead of the Night vibe very well. On Ancient Evil, we have the Hand of Charon, the Hand of Aranos, Hand of Gia, and Hand of Hemera. Now, they all do function very differently from each other, but are all extremely good, just like all the other elemental wonder weapons. Letting you wield the powers of gods, you had things like shooting out earth, magic, mist, withering zombies' lives away, shooting out gusts of wind, but my personal favorite is Hemera because you control a sunbeam explosion like an orbital strike to melt zombies all around you. Again, these are all just preference, super fun to use regardless, but let me know which one you think is the best. I'm lumping these next two together because they're both on the same map and both make me feel the same way. Disappointed. The Thundergun is a frozen elemental version of the Thundergun that is probably as good, if not better, than its predecessor. Then the Sniper Waff, or however you want to say this, is a scoped version of the Wonder Waff that's probably also better than its predecessor. All I have to say about these guns is why? Why take two legendary wonder weapons in all of COD Zombies and give them a sloppy coat of paint with a slightly different effect? Truly one of the laziest attempts at new wonder weapons that we have ever seen, and without a doubt left a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Now we're at Cold War, where wonder weapons would all be in their own league above any regular gun by a landslide. The decompressive isotopic estrangement machine, or die machine, that debuted on the map with the same name was another fun wonder weapon that could carry you to high rounds with ease. With multiple ways of getting it, once you did, you were just set. There are 4 different elemental variants of it. Shocker, I know, but I think the base one is the best because of its alternate fire type. You can alternate fire to suck in zombies and then give you ammo. Its primary fire would melt zombies, so you really had an infinite source of damage forever going on here. At launch, you couldn't pack a punch it, but towards the end of Cold War, you could, which just makes this gun all that better. The Ray K is another crazy wonder weapon found on Firebase Z. If you haven't put it together by now, it's an AK-47 ray gun. If that sounds ridiculous and overpowered, that's because it is. Also including an underbarrel grenade launcher, this thing was crazy broken, continuing the Cold War wonder weapon brokenness that we're still not even done with. Once again, available from a handful of different ways, one of which being the mystery box, it was almost impossible to go down with this thing. The Cerberus is a very special wonder weapon since once you get it, it cycles between which variant is active depending on your ammo. You will progressively find new parts for it that change its effects, and I don't want to say make it better because I think each tier acts like the hands where you kind of just pick which one you like the best. You don't really get a pick, it's kind of just like RNG. Anyways, your base Cerberus will always keep its ammo to wherever it was, even when you get a new variant, and the way you get a new variant was by zombies dropping them. And when you picked up these parts, they also completely restocked your ammo for said variants, so what I'm trying to say here, it was like the die machine where you never were going to run out of ammo. And also like the die machine, you were never going to be going down. Each variant of the Cerberus was extremely powerful, and in a game where ammo grows on trees on top of a gun that also is giving you free ammo, it's no wonder that Tim Hansen put this as the best wonder weapon of all time. To round off this list, we end with the Chrysalax on Forsaken. This wonder weapon had several ways of getting it, and it's no surprise that it was also really good and broken. Coming with 2 different variants, one being melee and the other being an SMG, they were both really useful. Melee had a lifesteal mechanic, which I don't think any other wonder weapon is capable of, so that's pretty cool. And you can also shoot out energy blasts as projectiles that dealt damage. The Storm variant is pretty simple as a rapid fire energy based weapon that also had a chance of causing explosions on zombies. Each variant also has chances to drop ammo for the other variant of the Chrysalax, so once again we have another potential infinite ammo situation going on here. But that's the entire history of wonder weapons in COD Zombies. I love when wonder weapons are broken, but I think Cold War kind of took it a little too far where they really just make the game way too easy. So I hope in Black Ops 6 we get a little bit of a change from that. But let me know if you guys like this video. I know I pretty much only do Warzone content, but I think the entire history of format can work really well with zombies. So go ahead and let me know what you want to see next. Join my Discord if you're feeling crazy, and if you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, and thank you so much for watching.